Hi, folks. It's Gordon, and welcome to the Sightcraft Network channel. And this is another installment of Ask Gordon. And one of the things we're learning on this channel is that we're getting a lot of traffic from people that are not necessarily in the mental health field. Originally, this channel was started to kind of cater to their other therapists, but we get questions from people just in general just about different things, particularly for men's mental health issues. So, one of the topics that comes up a lot and we hear a lot about is the difficulty of loneliness, and that there seems to be almost an epidemic of loneliness anymore within our society. And I think, especially for men, men handle loneliness differently than women do for the most part. And I know I'm painting with a broad brush here, but for the most part, men have difficulty getting out of a hole when they're feeling lonely. And I think a lot of times is that we are kind of socialized, so to speak, to not show emotions. And I've talked about this in some previous videos, but men, for the most part, a lot of times we need to recognize the difference between being alone and being lonely. Um, a person can be surrounded by friends, be surrounded by people, work with a lot of people, and be around people all day, but still feel very lonely. And I think a big part of that is that a lot of times we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, we don't feel like anybody knows us. And so we tend to internalize that, and that causes us to isolate ourselves and in many ways feel sorry for ourselves and that sort of thing. The other thing too is that we as men are really kind of socialized to not show any sort of weakness. And to say that you're lonely is just feels like a sign of weakness or a sign of vulnerability. Um, and one of the things that happens with that is that we will turn inward and just isolate ourselves more and more, which just perpetuates the problem of loneliness. The thing about it is that men share their internal worlds in different ways. A lot of times, men really do better sharing their internal world through a set of activities or doing things together, by golf buddies or getting together for a ball game or doing a fishing trip, that kind of thing. And that's when men tend to be able to open up with their friends. They might not share their deep, dark secrets in those settings, but it certainly goes a long way with not feeling like you are left out or feeling like you're alone. The other thing too is that a lot of times men will depend too much on their partner for their emotional support. Now, certainly it's good to get emotional support from your partner, from your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, whatever. But if you become totally dependent on that as your emotional support, you're probably going to be let down, and it's going to probably lead to conflict, because I think we need to have a broad network of friends and community to also support us along the way. So, if you're feeling lonely, one of the things I would encourage you to do is just to reach out to some friends and not necessarily talk about the problems, but just reach out to some friends to get together, go down and have a beer together, go out and play some golf, go hiking, go fishing, doing all of those kinds of things, and invite someone to come along. And what you'll find, I think, through those types of connections is that you will quickly be able to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be able to share what's going on internally. And probably, if you were to think about it, if you had a friend to come to you and wanted to share something that was bothering them, you would probably be glad to hear it. And so our friends can be that way as well. One of the greatest things that has helped me get through times of loneliness, as I've shared with some people on my podcast and a little bit on this channel, is that I went through the loss of my spouse, about 3 years ago. And the way that I made it through that and the way that I was able to navigate the grief that I've experienced in that situation was through my friends and through my community. One of the things that I'm really fortunate to have is I have a group of guys that I get together with most every weekend, usually on Sunday afternoons. We call it our Sunday prayer meeting. And we'll get together on each other's porches and we will share some craft beers. We'll watch ball games or watch whatever's sports happens to be on TV at the time and smoke cigars and just tell stories, talk about our families, talk about our lives. And there's a lot of laughter and a lot of close camaraderie that comes from that. And that is where men are able to get over their loneliness, is in that sort of context. Certainly our significant relationships help, but I think being able to have those friends that we can trust and know and be there for us goes a long way. So if you feel like you're being excluded or you feel like you don't have those friends, I would invite you to create something for yourself. Invite somebody to go to dinner. Invite a group of friends that you know to go to a movie or whatever it might be to help you get out of that slump of feeling lonely. So hopefully this has been helpful in just thinking about that. Certainly there are many more aspects to loneliness, and reach out to me and leave your comments and ask your questions. And I'd love to be able to share a little bit more here on this channel around those things.